What's going on, everyone? This is Dom, and today we're talking about the Moto Z2 Play. And this is a mid-range smartphone. It'll run you around $400, and we're going to talk a little bit about what this has to offer, and more specifically the whole Moto Z line in general, with all of the Moto Mods and things like that. So just to brush over all the specifications real quick, this thing is pretty simple. It's got a Snapdragon 626, 3 GB of RAM in this version, 32 GB of storage with micro SD card expansion, and around the front side we have a 5.5-inch 1080p AMOLED display, which actually looks pretty nice. Also on the front side beneath the display, we do have a fingerprint scanner, which is pretty snappy. Zero complaints here, but I think everybody's kind of figured out how to do that by now. As far as the design goes, this is actually a pretty well-built phone. I was really surprised. It's got a nice metal build. It's actually slimmer than the last generation Moto Z Play, which is nice. And we do have the Moto Mod connector at the bottom here, which basically sets up the story for this entire video. Unfortunately, there's no water resistance rating here, but there is a nano coating with this phone that will help protect it against light splashes and maybe a jog in the rain, things like that. Very simple stuff though. I wouldn't go submerging this guy. So like I said, the build quality here is pretty great, and the software experience is awesome as well. So with the Moto Z2 Play, we have Android 7.1.1, and we have a very clean, near stock Android experience, as we've grown to know from Motorola. There's not much else to say about the software experience here, except for the fact that Motorola does Android right, and I'm a big fan of that. And as far as performance goes, well, because of how they handle the Android experience here, it's actually pretty snappy and fluid. It's not going to shatter any records or anything like that, but it's gonna do you good. Moving along to camera performance, around the front we have a 5-megapixel shooter with an f2.2 aperture, and we also do have a front-facing flash. No, they are not using the screen to do that. There's actually a physical flash on the front of this phone, so that'll step up your selfie game a little bit. Now, as far as the backside is concerned, we have a 12-megapixel shooter that'll shoot up to 4K video, and it has an f1.7 aperture. This guy is good, not great. It's definitely not going to compete with any of the major flagships out there like the Galaxy S8 or LG G6, but it's gonna hold its own within its range. Without optical image stabilization or any fancy enhancements to make things better, it's going to perform well in optimal conditions, and then when you get into lower light, it's going to struggle with focus and sharpness, things like that. But I will leave a full gallery linked below for you if you want to check out some of the photo samples for yourself. So let's talk about battery life for a second. There's a 3000 milliamp hour battery inside of this beast, and it's actually pretty good. I was able to get around 5 to 5.5 hours of screen on time. There's also a USB Type-C port here on the bottom, right next to the headphone jack, which is pretty cool, so you get turbocharging as well. And overall, battery life is pretty great here. Now let's talk about the main reason that you would buy any Moto Z phone, and that is because of the Moto Mod. So I kind of have a weird relationship with the Moto Mod thing. It's cool because you can enhance your phone without having to buy another phone, but my problem is that the money that you'll spend investing on these Moto Mods may not really make it worth it in the long run. The cool thing is all of the Moto Mods across the board are gonna work on any of the Moto Z smartphones, and they plan to keep that compatibility for at least 3 years. So you can use your first generation Moto Mods with the Moto Z2 Play and vice versa. My main issue with the Moto Mods is actually why you would buy them. So let's say you spend $400 on the Moto Z2 Play, and then you go ahead and buy the battery pack for another $80, and then you go ahead and buy the better speaker add-on for another $80, and then you go ahead and buy the big camera attachment for $250. Well, at that point, you're almost in this thing $600 or $700, and why wouldn't you just spend that getting a flagship that offers exactly what you need? I know the modularity thing is super cool, but in this sense, it's not really all that modular. Yeah, sure, you can add extra speakers or extra battery life or things like that, but you can also do that with a Bluetooth speaker and a battery case. Look at it this way, right? The Moto Z does pack flagship features like a fingerprint scanner, we have NFC inside, there's a nice display on the front. But if you want to add wireless charging, you're going to have to buy the Moto Mod, which retails for $40. So you're spending $40 just to get a backplate that not only thickens the phone, but adds wireless charging to it. I guess that's the benefit here, is that you can add exactly what you want to the back of this phone, but that's not without the compromise of adding thickness and bulk to an already thin and sleek phone, which I actually like. But I don't know, let me know what you think about the Moto Z2 Play in the comments section below, and be sure to leave this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Also subscribe for more videos like this in the future. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. This is Dom, and I'll catch you in the next video. They need to get their fucking brakes fixed, these damn buses. Like, seriously, like, all buses have squeaky brakes. Why? All buses.